Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video social media challenge. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara. If you haven't watched my Adobe live sessions before, I'm an illustrator and a content creator. And today I'm going to be showing you how to remove backgrounds from videos without a green screen using the Rotoscope tool in Premiere Pro / After Effects. We're going to have to go to both programs to make this happen, but don't be scared. If you haven't used After Effects before, I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to know, and I'm not going to overwhelm you with everything else because this is quick. Okay, so let's jump right into the project today. Okay, so here in the project, I have this sequence called Roto Sequence Start. This is where we're beginning. So this is what you might have in your project right now. If you're working on a project where you want to remove the background, this is kind of what it might look like, right? You have some clips here. I have some video clips with audio. I have some B-roll clips here playing alongside it. I have a color layer that's just making it slight contrast adjustments, and I have some adjustment layers that are doing some slow zoom. So in theory, really, this would be kind of brought down here all together, right? Ignore these clips on the side, they're for later. I just wanted to fast forward and have them available. Okay, so this is what your sequence might look like. And to give you just a little lay of the land here, I'm in the vertical workspace. So if you're working on a vertical video, which, this is a social media challenge, so it's most likely that you're working on a vertical video, you want to use this workspace. It's super handy. And then here in the project panel, here's kind of how I have my project set up. I have sequences, I have all my footage, I have some audio, which in this case for this project, there is no audio because it's right with my clips. I have some caption styles, which if you've watched any of our previous video social media challenges, those are available to you, and some graphics, which are just some of the overlays that I use for this clip. Some adjustment layers, like I mentioned before, the color layer and the slow zoom. And I have this bin here called After Effects links, which you'll figure out as we go through the stream how to use those. Okay. So when you're here in this view, I'm just going to quickly play this 37-second clip through so you can get a sense of what I'm editing. This is actually a little Instagram reel promoting a Adobe Live Pro Tip series that I did earlier for Adobe Fresco, just to give you some context. Do you want to be able to finish all of your illustration work directly on your iPad so you never have to go to your desktop ever again? Well, this week I'm hosting a 4-day Adobe Live series where I go over 4 different pro tips that I think will help you finish your illustration work. I'm going to be reviewing how to choose brushes and mix brushes to create your artwork, how to use the text and shape tools, how to create your own custom brushes, and I'll even be reviewing some of the details in the animation panel that are going to help you animate your work so much faster. All right, I can't wait to share with you all the things that make me love Fresco. See you there. Do you want to? Okay, so you can see how the beginning was kind of slow, and I think I accidentally have these in the wrong spot. I'm gonna move them over. You can see how the beginning is kind of slow. It could use some like umph, right? But the thing is, for my social media videos, I like to start with kind of like a person talking to the camera or a human or something to give it context. I personally think that when I watch a video and it's already zoomed into something, I'm a little like, I'm not sure where I'm coming in at this video, right? So wouldn't it be cool? Here's the question you have to ask yourself. Wouldn't it be cool if I could add graphics behind myself, right? So while I was talking, there was video playing or text playing, maybe something that looks like this, just to give you a sense of what the goal here is. Here's the intro reimagined with the rotoscoping. Do you want to be able to finish all of your illustration work directly on your iPad so you never have to go to your desktop ever again? Well, so you can see how that really opens up a lot of options. So you don't have to always add text or add other videos behind it. You could really, this is just kind of the beginning point, right? You could add graphics, you could add motion to these, to this text. We could add some transition effects. We could add all sorts of layers here once we rotoscope out myself. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So what you're going to want to do with your sequence here is the clip that you want to rotoscope. In my case, it's this clip. I'm going to hit hold option to select only the video clip, right, without the audio. Then I'm going to select option again, hold it and drag it up. Now I've duplicated the clip, right? So right now I have 2 of these clips that are identical and at the same exact spot, which is what you want. From here, with the copy of the clip, you want to right click and hit replace with After Effects composition. Now don't be alarmed. Let it open up, let it load up, let it do its thing. You basically just want to follow the prompts. I'm going to title it Test Roto. Okay. So once you're in here, you need to double click right here, double click the file, and you go to the layer. So this is a key thing. When you're viewing the composition, you're kind of viewing the whole thing, basically rendering as finished. In the layer, we can actually edit this layer, which in this case is just one clip. So from here, you're going to hit this little button here, the Roto brush tool. You're going to hit that. Okay, now you have this brush. With this brush, you can now select everything that you want to mask around, right? So what you want to keep, and everything else will be basically transparent, disappear. And that's when we have this cool layer that we now have of just myself floating with nothing behind me, right? So this is what we're going to work on now. Now, be sure that your playhead, this playhead here, is all the way at the beginning, because this is the beginning of that clip, which is exactly where you want to start the rotoscoping, because this is where Adobe, where After Effects will kind of gather the most information. It'll be your starting point, quite literally. So from here, you wouldn't want to outline the person. You kind of want to make a big mark. I'm just holding down. You want to make a big mark around everything that you want it to like grab and detect. Kind of think of it like the magic selection tool in Photoshop. I don't know if that's the accurate name, but the wand. Okay, so it only selected this. What's held in the pink. We want a little bit more than that, right? So I'm going to grab this, grab my hand, grab my shoulder. You can see here that if you know that you are planning on using the rotoscope tool, it would be really beneficial to wear something that contrasts with the background very vividly. So here there's a little bit of a problem because my background and some parts of the lining of my shirt can kind of be similar, and the edges are a little bit similar. So there's not the crispest contrast. Now, if we zoom in, for example, let's zoom in to this using the space bar to move around. Okay, so I want to select just my pinky, right? But now this brush is way too big. If you hold down Command and then click and drag down, it's going to minimize it. If you click and drag up, it's going to make it bigger, make that brush size bigger. So here we go. Let's make it this size. Make it a little smaller. Okay, so we want to select that pinky. Great, wonderful, selected. Now, where else do we want to go? Let's see. Okay, so this is really interesting. This is a really good one, is like my hair here, which was quite frizzy. So I'm going to select my ear. Okay, I want that a little bit more, but you can start seeing here that this is kind of hard to grab. On top of that, I don't want to make myself look more frizzy. Like, who would want to do that? So I'm selecting my ear, and now I'm going to, with the space bar, just move around. I'm going to refine this edge. I'm going to select the roto brush and go to Refine Edge tool. You can only use the Refine Edge tool once you have this edge created. So if you start with the Refine Edge tool, nothing will happen. You'll be so frustrated. So hit Command. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I want it to capture kind of all of my hair. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So now I'm just going around that. This is the edge I wanted to refine. Okay, great. And something else that I would like, in theory, I could refine here, but I don't want to add that frizziness into the video. Why would I do that? Okay, but in here, this is part's kind of tricky because I want to keep that hair and make it look kind of natural, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll go back to the Roto brush tool. If you hit Option W, it goes from one brush to the other. So if it's green or red, you know that you are in the brush tool. And if you hit Op W and you have the blue edge, you are in the Refine Edge tool. So I'm going to actually select, actually, no, I'm going to go back to the Refine Edge tool. I'm going to make it a touch bigger. Oops. I'm going to make it a little bigger. Ooh, it's not letting me. It's okay. I just basically wanted to select all of that. Cool. And so this brush, the Refine Edge Tool brush, is really handy for any edges that you may have that are kind of like fuzzy. So I'm actually going to go Op W and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller and get the edge of this sweater. Again, you can see how this and the background are kind of a little bit too similar. And then I'm going to go to the Refine Edge tool and kind of use that to kind of clear up that edge because it's a fuzzy sweater. So here on this first frame is where you really want to take the most time refining. So I'm going to grab this part of my sweater that I want to include. Great. I want to include this. So I'm basically going around the edge of myself because that's the part that I want to mask around and making sure that all the edges are good. Now this looks good. Here, this sweater edge could use some help, so I'm going to go over to the Refine Edge tool and clear that up. Oops. You can overshoot it a bit. Wonderful. And I think I'm also going to do like my fingertips because as this video plays through, the edges of my fingers as they move around are kind of all over because I talk with my hands when I'm not doing tutorials. Okay. I think this looks good. Except big problem here. This is actually part of the floor. So I'm going to go with this. I'm going to hit Opt and now it's red. And I'm going to say, I don't want this part in my selection. Okay, great. It did a wonderful job. And I'm going to use the Refine Edge tool on the palm of my hand / sweater. I think that looks good. Now from here, it's going to take a little patience. Because what you're going to do, you have two options. You can either hit play and let it play, and it will play really slowly as it's kind of rendering each single frame and masking out the selection that you made. Or since you know that it's going to play really slowly and you want to be really attentive to what it's masking in and out, you can hit Command and then page, like page right, page left, and it will go to the next frame. You can see it happening here. And here's where it starts propagating those edges for you. And this is where you have to be really attentive to make sure everything is staying where you want it to be. Now you can see here that it's kind of hard to understand what's happening. So if you actually hit one of these, you have three options here. You have toggle alpha option, which does this, which is black and white, which I find it hard to see because I'm not sure if it's keeping the floor in or not. Then you have toggle alpha boundaries. So this is the one that we were seeing, but you can see how the hair is selected. Or you have toggle alpha overlay, which has this red overlay, and you can actually change the color of this and also the opacity of this. I liked it where it was at, but this one's really good because you can actually start seeing like how it's going to look, and look how clean and nice my hair looks. Like obviously it looks really natural. It kept some of my like just the texture of my hair, but then up top here it looks pretty good. And I could edit it, go to Refine Edge tool and refine the edge here, this top of my hair, you know, depending on how important that is to you. But look how much tidier that looks. Wow, zooming into my own head is bizarre. There we go. Okay, so that looks awesome. Like very professional. Doesn't look like harsh cuts or anything. It looks really like natural. Okay, from here we're just gonna keep playing this. So if you hit spacebar, it will play it very slowly, and you can see that it's generating down here the green render bar. So that's what you're paying attention. And the minute that something is not part of the mask, that's when you pause it and you correct it. And you want to correct it on the first frame that you see it incorrect. That way Adobe After Effects can correct it throughout the rest of the clip. So in actuality, this can take a while. So this was only a like, I don't even know, 10-second clip, but this could take quite some time to render because it's doing it at such a great level. So you could see here, down here, that this isn't like quite right. So I would actually go Command page left and try and catch where it first went wrong. So where did it first go wrong? Kind of like right about here? No. Let's say like there's when it started to go wrong. So I would go to the Roto brush and hit Opt to gray some parts of that out. I might hit Command and drag that to make the brush less big and start kind of ruling out the parts that I want to be masked. So this is the parts that I want to be transparent, everything that's in red. So from there, once I hit play, it should render with that in mind now, but it can take a few tries as you render it. Let's go back. See, refining edge, propagating. So it kind of, every time that you reload it, it kind of thinks about this, and you want to restart it and make sure that you're catching everything where you want it to be. So this is the process, and it can be, you know, a bit time consuming because it's just refining it so well. So you can see here that this is cutting off my pinky, which would be weird. So I'm going to go back to Roto Brush. I want this pinky included. I want the edge, the top of my pinky also included. All right, let it continue. And there you can see that it's rendering. And so you want to watch this like a hawk and make sure that you are catching every single point. And once, let's fast forward here. Once you're done, everything is perfect. It's looking amazing. Everything in red that's supposed to be in red is in red, right? Once you're there and you're done with it, you want to hit freeze. And what freeze will do is kind of freeze all of the matting that you just created, and then it'll be set. And you can unfreeze it and mess with it again, but it's basically like when you're done, when you have it at a good place, and it's up to you how detailed you want to be with every single pixel, that's when you hit freeze, which is right here, and then it will start rendering, which I'm going to have it stop because I don't want to do that to us on this quick little stream. Okay, I'm going to hit save. So once you hit save and you've frozen it, then in Premiere, it will actually load that up and it'll be linked. Now, the thing here is that I didn't do it in real time because the rendering can take a bit. So that's why I have it prepped over here. So here's kind of what it would look like without anything underneath. So here we have everything that was red previously is now transparent, and we can put anything underneath it. Now, let me, I'm just gonna close this for the sake of the stream. Okay, now before we move on, just a quick little reminder. I'm Fabiola Lara. This is an Adobe Video Social Media Challenge. I'm showing you how to remove the background just like this. Everything here is removed using Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects. Hello, Lautaro. Hello, Kreaziz. Hello, Umacorn. Thanks for being here, everyone. I'm so happy to see you. And if you have any questions about the Rotoscope brush tool, let me know. And I'm going to keep on editing in the meantime. Okay, so once you have you've frozen it in After Effects, you're done, you close After Effects, you saved it, everything's good, then it'll automatically update in Premiere Pro, which is the really nice part. So here is it done here, and you can see the hair, I kept a little bit, but I could open this After Effects project right up and continue editing it. That part is totally up to you. So now if you duplicated it like I mentioned, then you'll have what appears to be the same exact video playing, which is kind of funny because we just did all this other work, right? I'm going to mute it. We just did all this other work to get it separated. But the cool thing is that now you can actually put things in between these two layers, which, as you can see here, I've already started doing. So if I unhide that, you can see that I added some text back here. And so this is super handy because otherwise it would just be like this right on top. But now I have all these new options that opened up. I'm going to undo it because I don't want to mess with the render. But what I'm going to do is show you it over here, perhaps. I'm going to duplicate this sequence. I don't want to mess with the render because the rendering for this can take some time and we don't have a whole lot of time. So here I'm going to play with this so you can understand what's going on. So if I were to remove these clips, then it looks the exact same. If I were to put it on top, it looks just like anything else that you could make. But by having the combination of being able to put anything under it, it's super fun. So I'm going to show you how I did this. It's literally the same way you would add any other text. So I use the text tool over here, dragged it, created a big thing, and a big box, and I'm going to write hello, and I'm going to make it huge by going over to the Essential Graphics panel. I'm going to lower this so I can actually see a little better. Make it really big. Okay, that's something you could do, right? And then if I move it underneath that rotoscope layer, now it's behind me. And I just think it's such a simple little touch. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what you could do with this effect, but it's so cool. And I'm going to go to video effects, no video transitions. I'm going to go to wipe. I'm going to bring a wipe down to the beginning of that text graphic. I'm going to move it all the way to the beginning. And now let's see if it'll play through. It might need to render. Let's see. So it'll look something like that, but less jittery once it's rendered. And another option here is that anything that you're talking about, you can actually put in behind you, right? Which is kind of like news anchorish, but also really engaging. So here's one clip that I have back there, and then here's another one. If it'll load up. And these clips you can totally reposition. So I can actually move this one up. Maybe let's scale it up. Maybe I want it over there. I can add movement to them, right? So I can keyframe those positions and scale. So if I say position here, and then I don't want to mess with position. I just want to mess with scale. So I can say scale keyframe there under the effects controls, and have another keyframe where it's even bigger. Now let's see how that plays back. So you can really start doing all sorts of things with this rotoscoped layer. And I just think it ends up just creating such a more interesting effect. Now, another thing that you could do here is just start. What else can I show you about the rotoscope tool? I feel like I went faster than I expected. Let's go back over here. We can continue to open up the rotoscope tool and continue to play with it. So I'm going to go back over to After Effects and open that rotoscope layer and show you a few other tricks here. So from here, make sure you're always in the layer. I'm going to click unfreeze, and now I can continue updating it. So another handy thing that you can try to do with the rotoscope tool is, actually, I'm just going to show you that you can actually move. So I have this perfectly together, but we could move this, which is a very common technique that people use a lot on TikTok or Instagram. So we could actually do the effect controls within this position. So if you hit position, and then I'm going to go to, let's say here, I can move myself. And this might be better like set for when you have a background actually playing. And I can scale myself. Oops, that's too tiny. But let's see, hit scale here. And hit scale here to be smaller. So now I'm going to move these keyframes because they're in the wrong spot. But here we go. So I could have my new rotoscoped self actually reposition once we hit those other frames if I wanted to. So you can see how I just shrink down. It's a bit slower than the actual frames underneath it, but I could just add more frames underneath myself and continue to just have more action happening. And this is completely now an editable layer. So we can adjust how we end up using those rotoscope tools to actually play with this clip. It's completely like a new clip independent of anything else, which is really neat. And you're also not destroying it because you can always pull up that After Effects file and continue editing it. Like, let's say I wanted to, in this part, now have the desk removed. I could open up After Effects and fit, and actually remove. Where'd it go? I have lost it somewhere in here. There it is. So here I would want to correct that, but I could go in and maybe say, never mind, I don't want this whole table. Delete. Oops. and delete just that table from remove the table from the mask. So that's something that you could also do. And then it would update over here once you render it. Right now it's not rendered, so it's not going to show it, but the rendering can take up to half an hour. So I'm not going to do that right this exact moment. But you can see here that now with this rotoscoped section, I can completely do my own keyframing so that it's custom and feels exactly like you would edit when you're editing one of a TikTok or a green screen thing, but you want higher quality graphics. So I hope you learned so much from this stream. There's so much you can do once you unlock the power of rotoscoping. There's limitless options for how you want to edit once you have this kind of selection of yourself that you can do anything you want with. It's super handy. So if there is anything else you want to learn from me, head over to my DMs and let me know. There's also the Discord channel. If you join the Discord community, there you have access to other creative mentors, including myself, and just inspiration from the community to see what everyone is using these tools for. So I can't wait to see you over on the Discord. And once again, tune in tomorrow for another video social media challenge. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.